In October 2024, we arrive in Kathmandu, Nepal, land of the Himalayas. This is our first of 3 nostalgic trips to countries where we worked in development projects on long-term assignments. The Kathmandu Valley with the surrounding mountains in the evening. Ernst, unfortunately, is suffering from a rupture of his Achilles tendon and therefore wears an ortese, a special kind of shoe. At the airport he enjoys special treatment and comfort. But why are we here? We left 24 years ago. What did Ernst do here? Ernst's involvement was in urban development in the 70s and in the 90s. During the last 40 years, several professionals engaged in the promotion of local governance and civil society in Nepal, and Ernst was one of them. This is the Kathmandu Valley with its 3 major towns, Kathmandu, Patan and Bhaktapur. In 1978, Ernst joined the GTZ and was given the responsibility of a desk officer and backstopper for a very expert-intensive project, the BDP Bhaktapur Development Project. Recruitment and securing of funding were among his tasks. His visits to Nepal during the time period until 1982 were very frequent. Bhaktapur is a beautiful Newari town, one of the 3 old royal cities in the valley. An earthquake in 1934 had created terrible destruction in Bhaktapur. A town inhabited by farmers, traders and artisans, rich in spirituality, temples and cultural heritage, but the citizens suffered from poverty and miserable health conditions. Pujahari Mutt, a historical pilgrims' rest house renovated with German funding back in 1972, became the center of urban development efforts and also the office of a large team of experts in this project. Among others, Horst Matthäus on the left here and Götz Hagmüller and many others. Their focus was on reconstruction, sanitary infrastructure, support of local crafts and trades, and community development. Ernst's second long-term stay started in 1996, and we went to Kathmandu together. Ernst took over the program UDLE Urban Development through local efforts as GTZ team leader based in Kathmandu. The aim was to support Nepal's local government with finance, advice and training to improve municipal administration and urban development. We decided to stay in the Boda area, a bit at the northeastern end. We have booked at Via Via Hotel, owned by the daughter of Renate, a former colleague. We enjoy a perfect room with a lot of space. We hear the very familiar sound of a street seller, and we know we are back in Kathmandu. A first view on present-day Kathmandu and the surrounding mountain hills. What a change! We left 24 years ago and now we see a completely built-up area extending to the foot of the hills. This is Renate. She used to be the senior finance administrator in the former GTZ office. We are invited to her house and have a nice chat with her and her family. The famous stupa in previous days and today. Not much change here, only that the stupa does no longer stand alone on the green meadow. On the first day, Gabi tries to find her way from the hotel to the famous Buddha stupa. Finally, the beauty appears before her eyes. Later on, we enjoy walking around the stupa, joining the many tourists finding peace inside a beautifully adorned temple, greeting the Tibetans, and we are so much pleased to discover that the old rooftop cafe still exists. We take a rest, sipping a cold drink and admiring the stupa once again. We have decided to concentrate on few places only to be visited, so the next day we go to the Garden of Dreams, restored by Götz Hagmüller. Its restoration work is bearing fruit now. It is a real tourist hotspot. It used to be a garden next to a palace, now used as a library called the Kesher Library. The premises were once owned by one of the Rana aristocrats called Kesher Shumsha Rana. In a little gallery, photos show the original garden at the turn of the century. The garden features fin de siècle pagoda, beautiful flower arrangements, fountains in the old style, a Chinese-inspired moon door, and at the end of the visit we relax in a cafe on the veranda of a pagoda under a marble plate with inscriptions of a classical Persian author. This here is Fire and Ice, a restaurant next to the garden, which has always attracted Westerners, so also today. These kids obviously enjoy their pasta. Gabi ventures into Tamil, the ancient business center. Tamil has these nice little pagodas, but one can also notice the aftermath of the last earthquake of 2015. In some courtyards, however, it seems the damage has been nicely repaired. At Asantol, the cable salad in the air, the chaos, the hectic life, it is just like yesterday. She has to take refuge under a tree-based temple. This reminds her of earlier days, 45 years ago. Tree-based temples have always existed. And here are just a few memories of what life was like in Kathmandu 45 years ago, with rickshaws, policemen in shorts, poor, tired coolies, people having a shower or a haircut in the streets, and the ganja pipe. Wow, an invitation to a Japanese hillside restaurant, Dekaido Ocean, close to Budanilkanta. We have a wonderful late afternoon and evening out with some of our lady friends. Milu, Kiran and Sushma. This is what Sushma and Milu looked like when we were still younger colleagues, managing and visiting projects together. We are also seeing Anne in Maharajganj, Chundini Marg. She and John live very close to where we used to stay. We passed by our old house. This was our beautiful Buick. We inherited it from Andreas Ernst's predecessor. This was our gardener with our dog. And these were our two cats, Plum and Plumeau. Together with Anne and John, we are spending the evening at Baba Mahal, visiting an exhibition of Tanka painters presented in one of the galleries. This is how the real Tanka painters used to work in Bhaktapur at the time. We have planned a full day for Patan or Lalitpur on Patan Durbar Square. Back in 1998 there was still a lot of damage on this place with royal palaces and temples. Today the old king's residence and temples looks perfect, restored with funding from various sources. This patti is typical for old Patan, still in use for chatting or selling market goods. But Patan also presents itself with a modern face, smashing shining motorcycles, new blue lorries, young ladies with mobile phones. We go to the main palace, the Muche Agan Palace 16th century, with a bronze and gold-plated door and window. And this is how it was restored and finally turned into a museum, owing to Austrian funding with the design and supervision by Götz Hagmüller. It has an inside courtyard called a chok, with a small temple in the middle. Beautifully sculptured wooden pillars and windows. And in the back it now features a cafe restaurant for visitors. The exhibition itself shows various ancient artifacts of Hindu and Buddhist religion, a mix that is a characteristic of the old Newari culture. From the gallery one has a perfect view outside to the rich array of temples which are actively used in pujas, and to some columns with the Garuda god on top, other temples with big elephants, and also an old Hitti, a washing place. While one of the former kings poses solemnly on his pillar, the Lalitpur people are sitting on the steps of their temples, chatting happily in the evening sun. Finally, we're taking a taxi home, driving down the hill of Pulchoki. We see people and shops, they are flying past us in the evening light. UDLE staff is meeting again. Part of the old UDLE colleagues invite us to a party at a rooftop restaurant close to the previous UDLE office. And here is Ernst with the ladies. Thanks to Rajendra Giri, we are having this entertaining evening. He is seen here many years before at our home in Chundebi Mark together with Prafulla and Dr. J. Laxman is visited a bit later at his home. He could not attend the meeting. This is what he looked like in earlier times during a workshop in the old GTZ office. Sitting in front to the right, Milu, Peter and also Rabindra. We're talking about him a bit later. And here again Lakshman to the right and also Prayak on the occasion of our farewell at the airport in 2001. After all this, we want to have a relaxing weekend at the Hattiban Resort, up in the southern mountain hills of the Kathmandu Valley. We arrive here in the evening and enjoy the view. Also, some colleagues looked down 25 years ago, and this shows the difference again. How much has the city grown in the meantime? The evening falls, a hot ginger tea and Kathmandu by night. And here, good morning, we stay here in one of these little huts. Ernst is relaxing and reading. Gabi is taking a promenade outside. Just as she did once with her little dog. Gabi has found a friend among the service staff. Together they watch the landscape before them, including the river Bagmati. On our way back, we notice the damage caused by the recent floods and landslides that occurred during the extensive rains in September, and the Bagmati River also from close. It inundated large areas of the inhabited land. The following week is Bhaktapur time. Diwali or Dashain with Lakshmi Puja, a festivity for families in Nepal, is ahead of us. Namaste. We are checking in at Manju Baha, a hotel training school which is part of a vocational training program run by an organization founded by our former colleague Rabindra Puri. Manju Baha also is an ancient mutt, a pilgrim's rest house, and that is why there is a little temple in the courtyard. It was restored under Rabindra's supervision. Buddhist monks are also among the visitors at times passing through. The kitchen and restaurant are located in the back. We are happy to find a spacious top floor room and that the nice young trainees are even serving us breakfast in the room. When we leave the hotel to stroll around, we are passing by Nakpukari, a water reservoir dedicated to the sacred water snake. Once people used to dry their dyed wool here. Nowadays there are facilities for gym and benches for girls' chats. There are lots of temples and places around for people to meet. The streets are already decorated for the upcoming festivities. Ernst finds a bar with a real Italian espresso machine. We discover a chicken in a temple and we call her Dana. Apparently she wants to speak to us. Hey, why don't you get out of this bar and go and see what the people in Bhaktapur are doing? So we follow her advice and are strolling around. People sit, but they even sleep in their putties. The harvested rice waits for being cleaned. Bhaktapurians really don't feel disturbed, neither by tourists nor by visitors. They go on living and working in their city, whether they're involved in agricultural activities, which is a tiresome job mostly for ladies, or repairing TV sets. Children are playing and enjoying themselves in the streets. Some old ladies have their daily chat, while some men are playing cards. Worshippers are adorning their temples. Other men are sitting in their putties, observe the scenery, or exchange the latest news. All of a sudden, young boys and girls appear with their musical instruments. They are training for the upcoming musical parade. Lakshmi Puja festivities are close, and the big celebration with family gathering that happens every year in October. Our temple chicken Dana appears again and she says, "Why don't you also look at the bazaar?" So we immediately visit a jewelry shop nearby and then go and look at the bazaar, enjoy the large variety of shops, the many market stalls with all these fruits and vegetables and partly flowers. The modern men's wears, the ladies' dresses and the children's clothing, and of course all the textiles. The traditional Bhaktapurian dresses in black and red. The flower chains, the pearls, and also the color powders, and finally the household wear and even shoes. And people don't mind the rain. They are just busy getting ready for Lakshmi Puja. Dana's comment is now, we should not forget to visit the main squares of Bhaktapur, Durba, Taumadi and Dattatreya. So we start with Durba Square, where visitors usually arrive at this building at the Western Gate. As Bhaktapur is now a UNESCO heritage site, visitors have to pay an entry fee. Ernst stands in front of one of the historic pagodas on the Royal Square with palaces and major temples behind. This pagoda is the G+E Mandap, a rare temple with 8 corners that was completely destroyed by an earthquake in 1934. In the 80s, the German Chancellor Kohl sponsored its reconstruction, which started in 1987 under the technical guidance of Utscho and Hagmüller. The octagonal temple was fortified by steel pillars in the center to ensure its earthquake-proof stability. When it was inaugurated in 1997, this stele was put up. It has an inscription in English and German telling the whole story. Behind this wall stood a 17th century royal palace with 9 stories. It belonged to the Bhaktapur Malla king and was destroyed by earthquakes even twice. Only some mighty stone statues survive. One of the palaces in this row has the National Art Museum. The lions and the Hanuman god are its door guards. And this magnificent entrance here leads to another part of the palace that has 55 windows. Inside this palace we find the former royal bath with its sacred water snake, the Nag Hiti, where some strange animals hold a solemn meeting. Outside, some beautiful ladies are watching the visitors. Other people relax and meet on the top floor of this restaurant, which used to be an old administrative building. From there it is only a few steps down and we arrive at Taumadi Square. Now what are these huge wheels doing here? They are the wheels of Machindranath, the grand temple chariot, which is now resting here as the respective festivity takes place during another season of the year. Taumadi Square is dominated by the Nyatapula Pagoda, a 5-story building, the only one that withstood the 1934 earthquake. On the 5 steps of this temple there are wrestlers, elephants, lions, dragons and 2 goddesses at the top. It started raining a bit and we are taking a drink on the gallery of a cafe. This cafe was built and opened at the times of the BDP. It used to be the one and only cafe in the whole of Bhaktapur. Here again on the left side corner it is still very popular, and the upper gallery is the space to be when observing parades and dances. And we hear drums and flutes. We see a huge dancing group approaching. A big spectacle takes place in front of our eyes. Dana says, "Hey, don't forget Dattatreya." Okay, Dattatreya, we've been there already, is the closest to our hotel. We visited it the very evening when we arrived in Bhaktapur. Why? It used to be the center of the BDP at the time. And this is the famous Pujahari Mat, an old middle-aged pilgrim's house that dates back to 1458. 50 years ago it was rebuilt, also with German funding. The offices of the Bhaktapur Development Project were located right here in this historical building. Gabi finds the entrance door blocked, but when she tries to sneak inside, she discovers that also lots of bricks and debris are lying on the floor. The building obviously suffered again from the recent earthquake, but the main damage seems to be in the second courtyard, where the repair works are going on. And this mask reminds her that the building became the Museum of the Woodcarvers Association when the project closed down. So many BDP lids everywhere. So what has become of the sewers, drains and old sanitary problems of Bhaktapur? Ernst wants to have a look at the Hanumanta River and its crossings, where the technical hotspots were addressed at the time. The construction of drains and sewers, refuse disposal and a sewage plant, as well as pavement of the open streets, those were the major concerns of the BDP to solve the sanitary and health problems of the population. The pavement and the lids are still witnesses of these times, but we only come across a riverside temple. We are leaving the Hanumanta River and proceed to the Pottery Center. Whereas lots of potters worked there at the time of the BDP, we now find only one active potter with his wife and his kiln. Today the area is mainly a tourist and souvenir shopping area. But it is nice to see that tourists are being taught how to do pottery, and also that these puppets are still on sale. They were once the creation by an expatriate lady of BDP. Elderly ladies and also young beauties are dreaming here of a bright future. This little girl here reminds us that it is now high time for the festivities and the offerings to Lakshmi. We are being invited by Rabindra to his model house and his well-decorated courtyard. A big party is taking place here. This is the festivity of lights. Lakshmi is being asked to enter your house, bidding Lakshmi to bring happiness to your home. From the reception we go on a night tour. We pass by the richly decorated houses and little temples with all these offerings, inviting the goddess Lakshmi to kindly enter your house. We are coming back to Rabindra's house and find a dance group that gives a very entertaining performance, and later the party goes on. Dana reminds us that Horst and Sita have also invited us to their house, and we go to Dulikel. Here the two men of course have an intensive chat. It is long ago that we last met. But the big event is the arrival of a dance group. They come from an ashram outside of Kathmandu. And in return for sponsoring, they come and present music and traditional dances to the big spenders. Despite the rain, the group prefers to stay outside on the big veranda. Their costumes, their music and artistic dances in Hindu and Nepali traditional styles are extraordinary.
आदिदेव शंकर आदिदेव शंकर महादेव शंकर महाराज शंकर आदिदेव शंकर आदिदेव शंकर त्रिकालदर्शि शंकर त्रिनेत्रधारी शंकर आदिदेव शंकर भस्मेश्वराय शंकर नागेश्वराय शंकर आदिदेव शंकर आदिदेव शंकर
The evening ends with a joint meal in the Nepali style, of course. We say goodbye and we are at the end of a wonderful visit. We enter Etihad plane at Kathmandu airport to fly back to Frankfurt. Looking at the mountains again, and the temple chicken Dana also says goodbye.